Reduce with prime factorization. So a reduced fraction occurs when the numerator and the denominator do not have a common factor. So that could be like 2 out of 5, right? Like 2/5, right? They don't have any common factor on the top or the bottom. So in order to reduce our fractions, we need to find the prime factorization and divide out the common factors. So let's look at the example 1. A child is reading a book. They are on page 84. There are 126 pages total. Determine the fraction of completed pages of the total pages. So we're going to write the answer as a reduced fraction. So we have 84, right? Because we're on page 84 out of 126. So let's go ahead and find the prime factorization of 84. Let's go ahead and just divide it by 2. So we have 2, and then we have 42. 42 can then be also divided by 2, and that would be 21. And then 21 can be broken down into 3 and 7. Now 126, 2. Well, 2 can go into 126 63 times. If you aren't sure, you can always just go ahead and pause and double check. And then 63 can be broken down into 3, and then that would be 21, and then 3 and 7. So if you're going to multiply all these common factors, right, 2 times 2 times 3 times 7, we get 84. Or if you go 2 times 3 times 3 times 7, we get 126. So the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to go 2 times 2 times 3 times 7 on the top. And then on the bottom we have 2 times 3 times 3 times 7. So let's go ahead and divide out common factors. Well, we see we have a 2 here and a 2 here. So those just cross out and right, they just become a 1. Because 2 over 2 would just be 1. Then we move on. We see we have a 3 here and a 3 here. And then we have a 7 on top and a 7 on the bottom. So what are we left with? We're left with a 2 and a 3. So if we were to show this as a reduced fraction, this would become 2/3. Because all of the other ones just become 1s, right? Because we have the same factor on the top and the bottom, so they divide out. So we're left with 2/3. Now let's look at another example. Example 2. The child is reading a book. They're on page 36. There are 40 pages total. Determine the fraction of completed pages of the total pages, and we're going to write the answer as a reduced fraction. So we have 36, the page they're on, out of 40. Right, that's the total. So let's go find the prime factorization. So 36 can be 2 and then 18. 18 can be broken down into 2 and 9. I just like to always get the 2's out because it's usually really easy to see if it's going to be divisible by 2, because if it's even, it can be divided by 2. Then we have 9, so that's 3 and 3. Then we have 40. So let's go ahead, go 2 and 20, 2 and 10, and 2 and 5. So we found the prime factorization of both numbers. So let's go ahead and then write this out. So we have 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And then on the bottom we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. So let's go ahead and start crossing out. So we have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. So that would cross out those. What about this 2 and then this 2? And then we have 3's on the top and then a 2 and 5 on the bottom. So that's it. So what are we left with? Well, 3 times 3 is 9 and 2 times 5 is 10. So we're left with the fraction as 9/10 or 9/10. Now let's do one last example. So example 3. Now we're going to reduce the following fraction to its lowest terms. So we have 6/39, and what does that become? Well, 6 can be broken down into 2 and 3, and then 39 can be broken down into 3, and then 13, and 13 is a prime number, so we're done. So we go 2 times 3 on the top, and then 3 times 13. So what can we only cross out? Well, we can only cross out these 3's, right? These are just common factors that we can divide out, right? Because 3/3 just becomes 1, so we can just cross them out. So what does that become? Then 2/13, and that would be our reduced fraction.